Alright, we've got a good one here for you guys today. I recently finished Xenoblade Chronicles X. Great game, try it out, I highly recommend it. Anyways, if you played through the epilogue, you'll know this guy. His name's Al. We love Al. He's really weird and kooky, but we love him all the same for it. And you'll definitely have played the pizza quest. If you don't know what I mean, again, go check out the game for yourself. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's a lot of fun. But if you've ever played through the game and you're wondering, what is Al's favorite pizza? Well, we can figure that out pretty easily. So, using that shopping list that we have in game, let's make Al's pizza in real life. And just like all great culinary creations, our first stop is the supermarket. Alright, so I am now back home. We have the garlic, which I didn't need to go buy, and we got probably what is the most important thing that I needed to get. We got broccoli. And now, we need to cut this baby up into some smaller pieces so that we can top the pizza with it. So as you can see, you're going to be watching me just cut up a few pieces of broccoli because that is the first major ingredient from Al's shopping list. It's broccoli. Very weird choice. I usually enjoy eating broccoli, but to have it on a pizza was quite unique. I wasn't sure exactly how much to cut here because unfortunately the recipe does not give us, specific instructions. Like I mentioned earlier, the second ingredient on the list was garlic. I already had garlic at home, so I didn't really need to go out and buy it. Now the ingredient list only consisted of 3 main items to go get, but I want to interpret the quest as saying that they have enough to make basic cheese pizzas. So from that information, I'm going to interpret that they still have enough tomato paste and cheese. So those items are going to be immediately added to the pizza without needing to think about it. In order to get a proper fusion with the garlic, I decided that I didn't want to completely just add it onto the pizza. I decided that I wanted to mix it in with the tomato paste. But just before we can get into all the mixing, there's one more thing we need to add. The third and final fabled ingredient. Now, the recipe said pepper. But if you're not from America, like I am, we don't call it. There's a problem because there's pepper, and then there's pepper in the Americans, which is what we call capsicum. So, which one do I use? Oh, who am I kidding? It's obviously gonna be this. We're just gonna get this out of the way. So there's a funny story regarding the pepper actually that I wanted to share with you guys. In trying to make this video, the SAG-AFTRA voice actors strike had finally ended. And a bunch of actors came out announcing the roles that they had taken on. And one of those actors just happened to be Ben Malmaceda, specifically Al himself. So underneath that announcement post, I wrote him a message saying, "Hey Ben, do you know if Al prefers pepper or pepper?" He liked the post, which is really good news, then proceeded to say nothing. I got the equivalent of being left on red. Thanks, Ben. Right. Now we've laid the cheese, and it's time to move on to the extra ingredient that I actually forgot about when writing the script, the pepperoni. In the quest, our main character and Al have to go find a Suis and kill it for pepperoni. Unfortunately, those things don't exactly exist in our world, so I just grabbed regular pepperoni from the supermarket. Trust me, I would have loved to have tried Alien today, but we don't exactly have access to it. Now that almost everything's ready, it's time to start topping the pizza. We start with the cheese, which is mozzarella, classic. Who doesn't love a bit of mozzarella? And now we're going to add the pepperoni. Something else I wanted to do before we actually put the pizza in the oven is that I decided I'm going to toast up the broccoli before serving. So what I did before we got into everything is that I threw the broccoli onto the frying pan for about 15 minutes. Let it get a little bit charred, green it up a bit, give it a bit of color. And then once we finished that, we just topped it onto the pizza and threw it into the oven. And at this point, all we can do is wait. And so in the meantime, I fed these 2 little rascals because they were very hungry for their dinner. Alright, while everything's cooking, let's talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X. Apologies in advance, this is just going to be me rambling about the game, so if you want to skip it, I'll leave a timestamp here. This is my first time ever playing the game, and going into it, I was very curious yet also skeptical. I'd always heard a lot of both positive and negative things about the game, just because, it was on the Wii U, no one had a Wii U in Australia, and I was very nervous going into it. I was like, is this going to be like the original 3 games? What kind of setting am I going into? Because you got to remember, this also is not a game that involves a British-based cast, if that makes sense. But thankfully, my suspicions were proven wrong, and as soon as I booted up the game, I was definitely, captured by the world. I was very curious about where things would go. I was definitely invested in characters like Elma, Lynn, and from the get-go, I was surprised at how many characters were actually available, like Doug, Gwyn, Irma, just so many. Neil, Celica, Lau, Yelv, Bose. Like, I actually enjoyed playing with each and every one of them, and the weapon system was a lot of fun as well. It definitely is reminiscent of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and I think that is a good thing in the end, even though it does require you to, like, change your arts constantly. But I actually had a lot of fun with it, and there's so much like cool like battle building and like just composition that it definitely does like add that element of replayability somewhat. And I really enjoyed that kind of aspect. Exploring the planet Mira was fun. There was just so much to see, so much to do. Just running around, you know, finding enemies that will definitely one-shot you was common. I mean, that is the Xenoblade Chronicles experience. But I don't know how to explain it. Mira felt very refreshing compared to, you know, the original worlds that we're used to, like Ulrest, the Bionis, and Ionios. Like, those things have like their beauty, but Mira felt like just very different. It felt unique. I guess it does help that it's an alien world, and just there's so much about this game. Like, when I heard that Hiroyuki Sawano was actually the one doing the soundtrack, I lost my shit because I love Sawano's music. You ever heard him in 86? You remember my 86 video and how I was pogging out over the music? He does that music as well. There's just so much cool stuff in this. And I do want to quickly touch on spoilers for, you know, chapter 13. So, quick spoiler warning, I'll probably leave a timestamp where to cut in the video. But I've had a lot of conversations with people who've come into my chat when I was streaming chapter 13 about how a lot of the themes seem to relate to more of Xenogears than Xenoblade. But while I do respect those theories, I do want to kind of look at the ending from a perspective of this kind of game should connect to more of the Xenoblade than the Xenogears. I mean, it doesn't help that, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles X is a standalone game from the other three, but I think it is fair that I should interpret it from my own experiences with 1, 2, and 3. And some people, you know, they were curious about my ideas. Like, when I suggested that the whole like data collector was origin instead of just, you know, this collective consciousness that exists from like the Xenogears games, people, you know, they were interested. They were like, okay, that could be possible, but they were like, yeah, no, it's most likely, you know, related to Xenogears. And look, I get that, but I think it's fair that I do look at it with like the, you know, the Xenoblade Chronicles mindset instead of the whole Takahashi universe perspective. And I think there is some merit to, you know, looking at it, because it does create some ideas of how the X-Cast could get dragged into the, you know, the main universe of where the original 3 Chronicles were set. And I think it's unique about how there's a lot of like similarities, like especially like the ghosts and Origin. They share vastly different, like similar color schemes, and just, you know, Ares cores, they look like Ionios cores, or sorry, Ouroboros cores, Mobius cores. In fact, you know what they most look like? They look like that final form that we see in, you know, Future Redeemed. So I'm left very curious about that. And I'm now even left more curious because maybe there's a connection to, you know, Alvis and all that. So while I do respect the ideas that it's probably connected to, you know, the overall Xenogears idea, I do like to interpret it that there might be some Xenoblade connections more likely than most. But hey, that's just my own theory. We're all allowed our own theories and interpretations. I hope you like mine though. Right, I think the pizza's ready. Let's go check in on it, shall we? Holy shit, that smells amazing. So as you can immediately tell, I'm not a cooking channel. I barely know what I'm doing with this camera setup. I mean, look at me. I can barely get the camera in frame, the lighting's poor, but that's not why we're here. Here we go, this is Al's Pizza. And as you're gonna see, I'm gonna have a little bit of trouble cutting into the pizza because, you know, the cheese is very sticky, the pepperoni is not easy to cut into, and you know what, it's just, sometimes it's just a bit hard to cut into pizza, you know? And, you know, I haven't got the best hand-eye coordination, you know, because I'm half blind, but I'm not gonna let that stop me because, you know, I wanna make this a good slice of pie, and I actually end up having a lot more trouble than I realized. Oh my goodness, Samuel, please, please fix it. Okay, and right, let's do a quick check. Gonna pull the slice out, hold up to the camera. No, it actually looks pretty good now that actually I'm looking back at it. Oh, Samuel, no, you're missing the camera, buddy. There you go. All right, put it back down. All right, and okay, let's plate this baby up, shall we? Let's grab, you know, 2 pieces. You always start with 2 pieces. I don't know why people usually only start with 1. When you have 8, usually just grab 2. That's my usual philosophy. All right, take a seat. Get ready, because it's now time to taste it. That shouldn't be good. That really should not be good. Why is that really good? Alright, I can't lie. This pizza was actually really, really amazing. I was surprised at like how delicious the slices were. The garlic really added to the pepper and the sauce. The cheese just, you know, gave it that nice little balance of flavor. And the broccoli actually gave it that nice little bit of crisp and crunch that you wouldn't really expect because, you know, it's broccoli. You expect it to be just greens. But no, after throwing it in the oven, it actually gave it this really nice taste. And the pepperoni, you know, just being pepperoni. What do you expect? It's pepperoni, it's awesome always. You know what's funny? I think there's a great way to summarize this, and that's literally just using Owl's, like, you know, catchphrase. How's it popping? This thing's popping in my mouth with how much flavor there is. So, I'm doing absolutely terrible. But hey, what do you guys think? Unfortunately, this is where the video has to come to an end. But thank you guys so much for just, you know, checking in, hanging out. I had a lot of fun making this, and thank you to everyone who came by my streams for Xenoblade Chronicles X. I had so much fun playing through the game, having fun with the skulls, trying out new builds and possibilities, and I had so much fun, and I can't wait to play Metaphor with you guys in July. It's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be fun, I can't wait to see you all there. I have a feeling we're gonna be in for a grand time. Alright, and as always, thank you so much to Warlord, our awesome channel member, and thank you to all the subs on Twitch. You know who you guys are awesome, and thank you so much for watching this video. I'm currently working on a new script right now. This video was very, you know, unprompted, just out of nowhere. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this video, so I did. But we're gonna be back to scripted content soon. I have a really good one for you guys coming up soon, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Thank you guys as always. You know what to do. Leave a like, leave a comment, letting me know what your favorite part of this video was. And if you want to see more stuff from me, I have a ton of videos for you guys to see. I highly recommend that recent 1 hour long Overlord video that I made. I put a lot of effort into it, but YouTube, you know, they kind of swept it under the rug a little bit, so, you know, maybe give me a little bit of love there. Alright, you guys know what time it is. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Sam Stormer, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!